Peterson Institute for International Economics published an article saying that BRICS countries don't have ability to define its identity. This article was written by Anjali Bhatt. What he says, or she says, while finance ministers and central bank governors from around the world rubbed shoulders in Washington, D.C. in late October, Russian President Putin was hosting another high-level meeting in Kazan, Russia, the BRICS Summit, attended by leaders from Russia and China, India, many other countries, for a total of 36 countries represented. The gathering gradually demonstrated the failure of West's efforts to isolate Russia after its invasion of Ukraine. The summit reflected BRICS countries' understandable concern about the lack of agency in the Western-dominated international governance and finance system. But the BRICS, made up of its eponymous members, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, plus newcomers Egypt, Ethiopia, and United Arab Emirates, UAE, and Iran, remains unable to coalesce around much besides those concerned in the abstract. It is plagued by members of misalignments on the group's identity and how much they want to distance the group from the rules-based order they criticize. This inability to agree on an orientation has obstructed the achieving stated economic goals like creating payment, currency systems to avoid the dollar. Nevertheless, Western nations would be foolish to ignore dissatisfaction with the status quo voiced in Kazan. The original BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has always been a peculiar grouping. The economies have little in common besides being big. Brazil, Russia, India, and China are lumped together by Golden Sash in 2001 as potential emerging drivers of economic growth. The group evolved into a loose geopolitical bloc when it began holding annual summits with a rotating host in 2009, adding South Africa in 2010. At the 2023 Johannesburg Summit, the BRICS invited Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates, Argentina, Saudi Arabia to join the group at the start of 2024. The first four did, while Argentina's newly elected president, Javier Milei, withdrew earlier this year. Saudi Arabia is equivocating, neither accepting nor rejecting its invitation, participating in BRICS gatherings and meeting with Western officials at the same time. What unites BRICS is less a positive agenda of agreed upon goals and more shared dissatisfaction with Western-dominated rules-based international economic order. The relationships among members can be tense. For example, Egypt and Ethiopia have been locked in a dispute over a grand Ethiopian Renaissance dam on the Nile River for decades. Despite a deal on Himalayan border and the first formal meeting in 5 years between China's President Xi Jinping and India's President Modi, where they both said cooperation is positive for a multipolar world, many issues remain a source of conflict between them. And a more fundamental tension remains. For Russia and China, the motivation is a desire for something explicitly anti or at least most Western. Putin has called the West rules-based international order classic colonialism. Xi Jinping has long railed against Western hegemony, suggesting BRICS expansion could counterweigh the West power, adding Iran last year, further illustrate the group's anti-Western bent. For others, it's different. India, South Africa, and Brazil would rather reform Western order the Western order from inside, echoing many arguing the World Bank and International Monetary Fund are dominated by United States and Europe. BRICS is not counterpart to G7, not G20, nor against anyone. Brazilian President Lula tweeted last year. The day after 2024 BRICS Summit ended, the Reserve Bank of India governor outlined priorities for G20 international financial institutions, not mentioning BRICS once. This fundamental tension between anti-Western institutions and reform Western institutions stances has limited the BRICS members' ability to articulate a raison d'etre. These divisions have also limited what BRICS can get done concretely. Much digital ink was spilled before the 2024 summit about a potential BRICS alternative payment and settlement system. Russia indicated it would feature heavily. Conducting commerce in something other than dollar would enable Russia and Iran to escape globally coordinated economic sanctions that cut off their ability to transact with much of the world. China is looking to reduce its reliance on dollar. Lula has long advocated for developing countries to conduct trade in their own currencies, or shared non-dollar currencies. India is increasingly transacting in rupees, including with a fellow BRICS member Russia and UAE. But per the Kazan declaration from the summit, no significant changes to or creation of payment structures will materialize anytime soon. The BRICS countries agreed to discuss the feasibility of establishment of independent cross-border settlement and depository infrastructure, tasked of finance ministers, central bank governors, to continue consideration of local currencies payment instrument. Putin said as much in post-summit news conference. While the members agree in theory on necessity of such platform, they could not come to consensus on what actually operationalizing it would look like. BRICS watchers also expected another expansion. Kazan's declaration did endorse modalities. BRICS partner country category 13 were added by consensus. Algeria, Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, Indonesia, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Nigeria, Thailand, Turkey, Uganda, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam, but does not elaborate what defines a partner country. Further highlighting disagreements between members, Brazil reportedly blocked Venezuela's addition to partner list despite Russia's support. The Kazan declaration illustrates how BRICS members can agree in abstract but not on mechanisms and implementation. What this diverse group of countries have in common is that they want to be grouped together at all, even as it struggles to define its identity. It is unlikely the BRICS is the last iteration of new geopolitical bloc. What BRICS is right now is a symbol of what's next in international cooperation, not led by the West. This publication doesn't include any package.
After watching this video, don't forget to give it thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell icon to get notified whenever we post new content. Your support means a lot and helps our team create more videos like this. Thanks for watching.